the latest induction to the former Oakland Great Hall of Fame, Robert Paul Melvin. 2011 to 2021. He had a record of 853 losses, 853 wins, 764 losses, winning percentage of .528, which included 6 postseason appearances.
It feels like more than 6. Really?
1, 2, 3.
With the A's, yeah, actually.
5, 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Robert, Bob, your gift card to Roberto's Burrito and Del Mar is on your way because that's where you're going to be.
That's where you're going. Hey, Bob, check out Moonshine Flats. It's right around the corner from the stadium.
Yeah, so it's legit. Like if Bob, if Bob or Lexi Melvin, I don't think she's really connected with. I follow her on Twitter. I think she's really connected with the team. But hey, if you need San Diego connections, let us know. We're pretty familiar.
That we are. Welcome to Town Tailgate Podcast. That is Julio Reynoso inducting the latest member of the former Oakland Great Hall of Fame. I am Chris Madrigal, part of the Around the Diamond Podcast Network. Some shocking news last week. So this pod is the Bo Mel pod. Shocking news last week. Bob Melvin signs a deal to become the Padres' next manager. I think the reason why this news is shocking is because Bob just signed an extension back in August to continue to be the A's manager, but certain circumstances, it's just the way the season's just been going. That's just kind of how it feels. He had a press conference today, had a lot of things to say. He did an interview with Brody Brazil as well today. So we're going to dive deep into all of that and really digest everything that has been occurring with this whole situation. But first off, I don't know. He doesn't look like a Robert to me. He'll always be Bob. And honestly, are we surprised that his middle name's Paul?
No, I was gonna stereotype and either go with like Andrew or Jonathan.
Paul, solid name. Don't get me wrong. Love me a good Paul, but no surprise there.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, it was like a stereotypical like 6-year-old white man middle name Paul.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even though I won't get too far into this. So here's a full rundown of my brother's full names. Right?
You said I'm not kidding.
No. I'll get there. I'll get there in a second. No, let me tell you. Let me just
full names.
Here, let me just tell you. It's pretty funny. My oldest brother, Elias Manuel Reynoso, and then the second oldest, Severo Armando Reynoso, and then me. I'm the youngest. And then it's Julio Antonio Reynoso, and then there's my third oldest brother, Andrew Paul.
Really? So your parents just went like super American with the first one, but then the rest.
Oh no, he's the third. He's third in line, but yeah. But again, so when I hear
just above
Paul,
you,
like, yep.
Just above you.
He's named after my mom's cousin who passed away at a young age, but like still,
okay. All right,
full name. Yeah. Hey, you started this. You're the one who commented the name Paul.
I was hold on. No. I was gonna say because I can't say shit. My name's Christopher Carl. I mean, that's about
Carl?
as American. That's about as American basic as it gets. Christopher Carl. Yeah.
You don't know a lot of Carls. That's the thing. I don't think Carl's.
You don't think Carl's a what?
I don't think Carl's a basic name.
I feel like it's a pretty basic name. I mean, that was my grandpa's name. That's why I named that. But
I think Karl Marx ruined the reputation.
I think that Carl from The Walking Dead ruined the reputation.
Cool. I was also thinking Carl from The Simpsons too.
I don't watch enough Simpsons to know what character you're referencing in classic Julio fashion.
Yeah, whatever. All right, Chris. Where do we start, man? I just don't want to talk about this inevitable. It's just like every 2 weeks we have to talk about some bad shit with this team. It just keeps getting worse.
I know. And we kind of had some good news this past week too, with like the county passing the funding and the plans for the Howard Terminal Stadium site. But then I think it was the next day this news came out, so it just kind of like rained on any parade that could have had. But yeah, I mean, what was your first reaction? Because I texted you it and you didn't even know. Yeah, that's right. Isn't that what you texted me?
What?
Yeah.
Oh God. And I think it was like right before the World Series about to start too. So it was like I think it was like Thursday night football was about to kick off. The World Series was about to start, or game 3 or whatever it was. Oh God. Yeah. My initial reaction was, it makes sense. It made sense in that moment because I think we were all kind of like seeing a little bit of the writing on the wall with where this team is going to be heading in terms of talent and all that. And I think this kind of seemed like an indication of it, because this would have, if this team is going to be a rebuild, this would have been his second.
Well, if you count when he came to the team.
That's true. Okay, so it's been his third.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was shocked. I thought he would probably stay around for just at least to that extent. He only signed that 1-year extension. It wasn't multi-year.
Yeah.
But I thought he'd hang around for at least through that. But boy, things are going to be, I think it's going to be really interesting, but just very shocked. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, probably like a 8.
I mean, I just didn't. He could have left years ago, so like that was what was so shocking to me. But after hearing the thing that you said in the Brody Brazil interview, which we'll get to in a minute, it makes a lot more sense now. Because they've always kind of dogged him in terms of, I mean, in classic Ace fashion, they've always kind of dogged him in terms of contracts and extensions and stuff like that, even though he's earned it. But yeah, I mean, I was working, I'm sitting on my computer, and then like my iPad's usually like, for people watching YouTube, it's like I have a screen right here to the left. That's like my main like monitor. And then right below it's an iPad. And I just kind of like I remember I was like typing up an email and I peeked down and it's like, dude, oh my God. And I opened up the article and read it. Just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just a sign of things to come. Yeah. I think it's going to be, we've been telling Robbie Schlatter, we've been talking to him a lot about this, and just kind of about, because he is a Yankees fan, so he expects the Yankees to buy every player who's ever existed in Major League Baseball. And one of those players being Matt Olson. And if you look at the contract's logistics, it doesn't make sense for the A's to trade Matt Olson this offseason unless there's an amazing deal. But after this move, I think that's the writing is on the wall, that they went to him, they told him, this is what we're doing. You either are with it or you're not. And then he was like, maybe I'm with it if you can extend my contract more. And they were like, they just didn't respond. And so he was like, all right, cool, you're going to ghost me, then I'm going to go to the team down south who has an insane amount of talent and can probably do something with it. I mean, the best manager in baseball, and arguably, but I would say the best manager in baseball, just went to probably the third most talented team in the league.
In the National League or just in general?
Just in general.
Debatable, but he's got the top 3 player in the league in baseball there. Mm-hmm. He's got like hyper talent. He's got a GM that is aggressive, and we'll get a little bit more in what the Padres get out of Bo Mel, but it's actually a good segue. I like this a little bit. What do you think is really, besides the obvious thing of like, he actually gets to have money that a front office will spend and retain guys, like, what do you think he is going to do, like, get the best out of from that team?
Well, the biggest issue with their team was their clubhouse chemistry, which I think was obvious when we saw the Manny Machado fight with Fernando Tatis, and historically Bob Melvin guys rally around him, and he's really good at chemistry, team chemistry, and camaraderie and stuff like that. So I think that I don't know what he does. I've never really heard stories about it. So I think that is going to be the most important thing that team's going to have, because it's a lot of young, talented dudes with not really much leadership, and he's going to bring some steady leadership to that team. My second thing would be he's going to find great pitching, because whatever his mentality is, or is his strategy, or for lack of a better word, is when it comes to starting pitching, he always seems to find, I wouldn't say that he finds talent, but he finds things in guys that are undervalued, and he utilizes the shit out of that one thing that starting pitcher does, and uses it to the ground until you can't anymore. But this starting pitching is so fucking talented, this team. He's not going to really need to do that. So I think that their starting pitching is going to be so superior next year, because he's going to utilize whatever it is that he
barring injury, because that was another big problem this year.
That too, yeah,
was the chemistry, and then injury issues, which you pretty much nailed it right from the get-go. I think he's just going to be the adult in the room for that team.
Yeah,
where I think Manny Machado really wants to be a leader, and I think he's there, but you can tell just because of that spat and some other shit he said, he's not there yet. And I think a part of it is like, really the best manager he's had throughout his career was, well, Dave Roberts, but that's such a short time, was Buck Showalter.
Yeah.
So I think, and Bo Mel's really does a great job of like,
but he wasn't a leader when he was there though. Adam Jones.
No, yeah, he's still a kid.
There. Yeah.
And I think one thing that's really what he's going to bring that'll really impact the team is just like, he's old school. Like he is old, but I think he's really adaptable to the times. He's really adaptable.
Yeah.
When it came to, look at this team over this last 8 years of really, it was him just kind of accepting those sabermetrics and the advanced analytics to get the best out of it. Mm-hmm. And, in San Diego, they're going to love that shit when it comes to just bringing that.
But also Julio, things like noticing, like, my team is really good base runners, so like let's go old school and let's utilize this one thing that my team is really good at and go heavy on it. So let's be more aggressive on the bases, let's steal more bases, blah blah blah, even though he's never been a base steal guy, steal manager.
I think one of the big winners too, you kind of talked about the pitching. There's nothing that Bo Mel loves more than catchers.
Yeah.
Look at throughout the last 10 years of his A's run, he's had some really good catchers who, even when they've left the team, they've kind of kept that same kind of mindset of leadership attitude with them. Like, look at Stephen Vogt and Derek Norris. Mm-hmm. Now Sean Murphy's coming up was going to be the next guy. So Victor Caratini, I know he's not an everyday guy, but I think he's really going to be a big upgrade for him. And then Austin Nola I think both those guys' stocks are going to start surging. I think they become a lot smarter behind the plate when it comes to calling games and to just certain other things.
I like Austin Nola already as it is.
Austin. Yeah, he's solid. Is he better than his brother? Debatable, even though they're different positions.
Different positions there, dude.
Whatever. Was his their actual last name is Austin New Orleans, but it's too much, so they just shortened it to Nola.
That wasn't funny.
Yeah, whatever. I tried. Yeah.
Me picking on you for it was. Got him.
It's going to be, I think he's really going to bring some really great stuff over there. The one quote that was pretty interesting, though, during the press conference, bringing it up from our dude, Martin Gallegos. Shout out to Martin. He's not expecting to bring any of his coaches over from Oakland.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Bo Mel, he loves his guys. So super surprising with that.
Is it though? I think that's a sign of who the A's might be hiring next.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, because maybe not unfortunately, because we all love Katze, and I think he'll do a great job, or Christensen, or whoever it is. Definitely not Darren Bush. Hopefully, thank God. But it sucks if it's not Wash. Ron Washington gets a job here with the A's. But anyway, I mean, that's another topic. Also, something to think about. He's going to another pitcher's ballpark.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's going to be it. He's going to be able to thrive really quickly on that. And plus, I think the Padres, I don't have the numbers in front of me, seem like a pretty dependent home run team. The Padres and A's are actually pretty similarly built if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. They don't have as much depth, though. That's one thing I would say was worrisome, because you know how much he likes to mix up matches lineups.
Hey, well, guess what? He's got a GM who's willing to spend a shit ton of money.
It's true.
So he can go get that depth easily. Hey, I really loved having Josh Harrison in Oakland. We should sign him and have him come down here. Oh, hey, I think we can go pick up Chad Pinder. He's not a free agent, but we can probably trade this prospect and get him.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, dude. Like, we've always said this for years. Like, man, imagine if this guy had an open payroll and a GM who, Billy and David Force really showed kind of like, we want to do this by some of the moves they did this year. But now he's like got a GM who's like crazy, like, yeah, we'll do whatever you want to do, we'll do it, kind of thing. Make the moves. Look at all the
one thing that I'm really tired of hearing casual baseball fans say is like, if we have a payroll, then we're gonna be good. Well, look at the Yankees. They've had a payroll for the entire existence of their franchise, and the past, ever since 2009, all they do is spend, and their managers just can't quite put it together in order to get shit going. So at the end of the day, it looks like baseball is not all about how much money you can spend. Dodgers are a similar factor. It took them a 60 game season to win their World Series. I'm not discrediting their World Series, but that is a note on that World Series. They spend every single offseason, just doesn't quite put it together. They still lose in the NLCS. So like, there's something about also a smart, up-to-date manager who's going to utilize every single aspect of the roster that he has in order to get these wins together. And I think that like Bob Melvin and that payroll is going to be an insane combination.
And they have the prospects. Like, if they want to make those moves,
have them? Do they still have them?
They still got a lot of. They still have a lot of
farm system in a while.
Yeah, CJ Abrams, who's like one of the top infield. He's infield or outfield, I can't remember. And then Mackenzie Gore. We were supposed to see him this year. He didn't really play too much.
Mackenzie Gore, that's a badass name.
Mackenzie Gore. It's like, it kind of sounds like a Mortal Kombat character.
It kind of does, right?
Mackenzie Gore, Sonya Blade. Anyway, God damn it. Yeah. They're going to, he's a lucky man. He's a really lucky man, because let's not forget, was it 3-4 years ago, the Yankees actually called Oakland about getting Bo Mel, and they declined.
Yeah.
I don't think there could have been any potential openings for him that would have been any better.
Yeah.
Because what teams had openings over the last few weeks that it got filled? So
Cardinals,
the Mets.
That's not filled though.
Cardinals would have been awesome. I think Cardinals actually would have been a really good fit for him, seeing what they were able to do.
But he's a California kid. I think he wanted to stay on the West Coast.
That's true. Like, he's 60. Not that he's old, but like, I think he's only ever coached for West teams. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Seattle, Arizona.
Yeah. Mariners and the D-backs. Yeah.
And like, Mets are a disaster. Yeah. He wouldn't have gone there. Well, let's talk about this press conference.
Yeah, I mean, you have the quotes, so you want to just dig in?
So it kind of worked out really well for us, folks. So we were originally going to record this last night after like the end of Sunday football. Chris had some people over, so just didn't match up. But luckily, it worked out better for us, because guess what? Boma had his press conference earlier today. And not only did it happen, but if you go on the Padres Twitter, their image of like welcome Bob Melvin to San Diego, it's him in his A's uniform. He like you guys could even like Photoshop a little bit, like I understand it might be like these interns are doing it, but
I think it'd be too obvious and lame though if they did that,
That's true, but it just looked like those weird Laker fans are like photoshopping like every young superstar in a Lakers jersey.
Don't even get me started with that. I remember when DeMar
with
DeRozan's
the Zion
was almost
with Zion already in there.
Like DeMar DeRozan's gonna be a fucking like. Anyway, sorry.
All right, so his press conference happened. The biggest quote that was getting a lot of traction was that we got this from Steve Berman, the Bay Area sports guy, beat writer. He's beat writer for The Athletic.
Well, he went on the radio. He didn't write this, right?
No, this is an excerpt of what Bob Melvin said during his press conference.
Got it.
I was lucky enough for Billy Beane, to continually extend my contract where it was never really a conversation. So when I had an option, picked up last year, it didn't surprise me with my history with Billy and the organization. But it was the last year of that, and who knows where they're going. They tend to churn sometimes. They have a different players there from time to time based on the fact that it is a little bit of a smaller budget. That's not the case here. There are different trajectories for our organizations. I'm not sure what the next trajectory is there right now, but it never occurred to me that something like this was a possibility. And then when we did have that conversation, it was excited to hear about that possibility. What do you know, Bo Mel, that we don't?
I mean, he kind of wrote the writing on the wall without actually saying it. Yeah. So.
Especially using terms like churn. It's like, oh, great. It's happening. We know it's going to happen. Billy Beane also put out a great quote. He said, I want to thank Bob for an incredible decade as a manager of the Oakland A's. He leaves here as the winningest manager in Oakland history and as one of the all-time greats for this franchise. His passion for the A's on and off the field, his brilliant mind of the game, and his professionalism in every situation made him the perfect manager for us for the last 11 years. Wish him nothing but the best in this opportunity and beyond.
Do you think he gets a jersey retired when he goes to Cooperstown? 10 years is a long time. I feel like he would.
Yeah.
11 years, actually. Because he came in 2010. 2009? 12 years?
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like 11 years he was in that role.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about we're so fondly like, or we have like fond memories of like the Moneyball era.
Yeah.
And there was 3 different managers over those 10 years. And like he had the same run if you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, before him, the second most winning manager in Oakland A's history was Art Howe. And he passed him like so fast.
And Art Howe was there for what?
A long time, dude.
4 years?
More
5 years?
That. Didn't he come on 90? He came on the beginning of Billy's,
oh, you know what?
Billy's tenure. 99? 98? 97? 98? I can't remember.
See, he might have been the manager immediately after La Russa. Yeah, 96 through 2002.
96. And that's when Billy took over too, 96.
Wow.
Or no. Maybe? I can't remember. No, Billy took over in 99. He was a scout in 96. Yeah. But yeah.
With that quote, it's just, I don't know what else to say, man. It's just like, it's going to happen. Let's just have this as like a vent session because it's more like we've been through this before. We've been through this multiple times before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this time it's just a little bit harder because of, I think Howard's terminal is going to happen. At the end of the day, it's going to be there. But I think it's just that little thought in the back of every A's fan's head that's just like, we've been fucked before for forever. It seems like, or at least for like as long as I have a vivid memory of being an A's fan, this shit always happens to us. So it's just hard to like really look at any bright side of this whole situation.
My issue is that they're selling the same card they sold in 2014. It was, we have the stadium coming. We promise you it's coming. So we're going to revamp this team so that we have a good team when the stadium opens. Okay, cool. Well, we're 6 years later, and it's the same fucking situation. We don't have a stadium. You're probably going to promise us the same thing. We're going to revamp so that we have all this talent. We have a winning team by the time the stadium opens. So it's like in 2014, when they didn't make it, it was heartbreaking. They made all these moves in the offseason that 2014, right before 2015 season, even though they still kind of like tried to make some competitive moves. I don't know. They were strategic anyway. Made all these moves to get all these prospects. Traded for Sean Manaea, Chris Bassett. Traded for Franklin Barreto. Traded for, I don't know. List goes on and on. Derek Bart. No, he was not there.
Chris Bassett was a part of that deal.
I just said that, yeah.
Brought in Marcus. Sorry.
Brought in Marcus Semien. Yeah, brought in Marcus. Chapman and Olsen were drafted, so I can't say that. Yeah, and they made all these moves to get these guys. Mark Hanna was brought over.
Luzardo.
Which
Blake Trinan.
Which trade was Luzardo a part of?
He was a part of Sean Doolittle. It was Sean Doolittle and Ryan Mattson. Former Oakland great Ryan Mattson. I forgot about him.
Oh, yeah.
He was dope.
And then they traded Zobrist for
Manaea.
Oh, that was for Manaea. Yeah. Anyway, they made all these trades, and they're, hey, like, this team's gonna be young. They're gonna be good in three or 4 years. That's when the stadium's gonna open. It's gonna be great. But it's, we're in the same fucking situation as it is now. And like, I don't know. I mean, they would probably get quite a bit for Matt Olson this offseason. I think they would get more this trade deadline next summer, but if the price is right, you got to do it this summer. Matt Chapman, I don't see moving because his stock has never been lower. So you would think, like, he's probably going to win a Gold Glove this offseason. Maybe if he kind of starts it off right next spring, the value can be up there enough to where we can get a lot from him at the trade deadline next year.
He's going to be a Dodger. Gone. No, I think Chapman's going to be a Dodger in this offseason. Justin Turner.
They just signed Justin Turner to this deal, though.
Yeah, but he got hurt again. He's 37, 38.
He's old as shit. No, I think he's 36, 35.
He's going to be 37 next month. You want a 37-year-old, he's awesome. It's like you want a 37-year-old third baseman if you're trying to run it back to go to another World Series. But like, sure, have him on the team, but it's like, I don't think it's going to be. I'd say move him to first, Muncy to second. Trey Turner will be at short. Look, I think we're all just like, we're already bracing ourselves. We're having our fantasy trades in our mind, but it's just like the weirdest thing about
fantasy
this
trades are in mine. Mine are
the
not.
A's are getting.
Hold on. Your fantasy trades are in mine. Are in your mind, but mine are not. Mine are not. I'm just saying. Can I just finish this before you jump into fantasy trades?
Sorry.
Laureano stock has never been lower. I don't see much value there because of the steroid shit. Manaea stock is probably higher than it's ever been. You got to trade him. Bassett stock's probably higher than it's ever been. You got to trade him. I mean, Laureano and Chapman are probably the two that are. I mean, Kemp stock is higher than it's ever
and
been.
Murphy.
I have to think about him. Murphy's probably the only one that's staying. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it's just, yeah. Sorry.
The weirdest part about this whole thing was the A's are getting no compensation for losing him. Which when a guy's under contract, that seems like super rare. And because it just shows, I think at the end of the day, they're just like, the A's are obviously trying to cut costs at every single corner that they can.
Yeah.
And you're paying a manager. Like, I think Bo Mel's contract was like $4 million a year, which for a manager might be a little too much. And I was probably like, cool. Well, let's find somebody else who can kind of do that. And I think that's going to lead into like, okay, well, who's going to manage this team? Like, I know we talk about Ron Washington, and I think Ron's going to be great, but I think he deserves better than having to coach this team next year. Whatever the skeleton, if this team stays the way it is and nobody gets moved, awesome. He deserves it. But I think we're all kind of we're all anticipating this kind of falling apart. Everyone's going to get traded. That's not fair to him. A guy who, he's been vouching to get another managerial job for the last 5-6 years. He should have had one throughout that time.
Yeah.
And now he is going to get one. And it's just going to be kind of this, like bare bones team. Like that's fucked up for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it needs to be someone who's fully embraced analytics, because that's just the way that they manage. I think it needs to be someone who probably like a Bo Porter situation, who took over a team like way too fast, or took a manager job way too quick because he just wanted that job and tried to prove himself, like Bo Porter did with was that 2015 Astros, like just before they really got good, kind of fucked himself. That team was a mess. He was the fall guy. They fire him, get AJ Hinch in there, and then the team's good again. So he just kind of got screwed over. I think it's going to have to be a guy like that. And unfortunately, I think that's what like a guy like Kotze or Christensen they're in that situation, or Chip Hale might come back too. And just like, it's just one of those things where it's either going to be a manager who got a shot, fucked it up, and wants another one, or a guy who's just coming up and wants to try and get that shot and wants it too early. Yeah.
Because Kotze was interviewing last season, right?
Yeah. The perfect the perfect scenario for it sucks because I really want Kotze to like get one of these jobs, but like a more perfect scenario is like the Dave Roberts scenario. Like take over a team that like literally was mismanaged, and his philosophy is going to change that team or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those guys, and it's just going to be, he's going to be the fall guy for 2 years from now when the team's good. They're going to get someone else in there.
One person I was thinking about.
Well, the A's don't have a history of that, I must say.
Bob Guerin.
That team, no, dude. That team in 2008 was fucking good. That team should have been a lot better.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah.
That team should have been a lot better.
I mean, all those teams, let's be real, those, 8, 9, 3.5 years he was managing there, he had some awesome pitching.
Yeah.
When he had Gio, Dallas, and Cahill there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, was it Cahill there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes. They were in Justin Duchesne.
Yeah.
And like he had to, it's just like, but it was just like offense was horrible those years.
But then remember in 2008, they're like, okay, Billy Beane's like, okay, we're going to go spend some money this offseason. We're going to make the right trades. We're going to get some offense. Let's get Matt Holliday. Let's get Jason Giambi. Let's get Nomar Garciaparra. Let's get Orlando Cabrera. And then fucking nothing.
That's just that. Yeah, and that's when they realized, like, oh shit, that's on coaching. The one name that I thought, and I think he kind of adds into everything you're saying in terms of like people who want a second chance. Okay, let's do some check boxes here. Okay. Manager who deserves a second chance. All right. Manager who preferably has a little bit of history with this organization and with these guys, because I think at the end of the day, you're gonna have to work with Billy and David to really make this thing work. Mm-hmm. Check. And I think a guy that really stood out to me is Matt Williams. He's been coaching in the Korean Baseball League the last couple years. He actually just
left, right? Just left Wiz or whatever.
Yeah, there was I retweeted it. I can't remember the specific reporter, but he's a baseball reporter that also does stuff for Daniel Kim. He works for ESPN. And he actually is a huge KBO fan, so he's been covering it. And I think this might be one of the best options available. As much as I love Ron Washington, I think he deserves way better if this shit blows up. I'd be down with it. I'd be down with him than your, no offense, but your suggestion the other day of Mike Schilt.
I that wasn't a suggestion. It was more just like, hey, I forgot Mike Schilt is available. It wasn't like I want Mike Schilt. No, I mean, it's just, hey, let's not forget this guy who's a proven pretty decent manager. is available. One thing that I think Ron Washington brings a lot to the table, though, is the defense really fell off this past year, except for Olsen, Chapman, and Murph. Like, that's one thing that Ron Washington can really bring to the table. Some consistency to that, especially at the shortstop position, because who knows who our shortstop's going to be next year. So
hey, maybe
if it's Nick Allen, like, he's going to turn Nick Allen into a fucking Gold Glove finalist, just like he did with Marcus, just like he did with Eric Chavez, all those guys.
Okay, yeah, there was actually I was reading a piece that they were just talking about how like all those guys. Eric Chavez actually gave Ron Washington one of his Gold Gloves one year. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna win shit without Wash. So
he turned Ozzy Albies into a perennial. Apparently, Ozzy Albies was a terrible fielder. Turned him into an insane, a regular Gold Glove finalist as well. Have you ever seen some of the drills that he does with these guys? Like,
it's super old school.
He does this one drill that that is completely based off of testing your hearing in terms of how the ball like bounces off the ground. So he makes you like turn away and like stick your glove out on the ground, and he'll tap the ball so it bounces up and just does like a quick, like, it just he uses all of your senses to make you a good infielder, to where like it's muscle memory, and like you while you're fielding the ground ball, you hear it bounce off the grass or off the dirt a certain way, and you just like your muscle memory just like makes you think like, oh, it's gonna like the trajectory's going this way. It's fucking insane. Yeah.
I just thought of a good analogy. I'm gonna see if you agree with me on this. If they were to bring him back, which I'd be really excited for, but I just don't think this is the right place for him right now. It kind of reminds me, you remember when like the 07 Raiders were like, Art Shell, he's coming back, he's gonna be coached. Yep. And it's like, oh no, he does the game past him.
Art Shell, he took the Raiders to a AFC championship game in the 90s, and he has 2 wins.
And then we got Jamarcus Russell. But like, I could see that situation of just like, Seattle's is gonna be great. Seattle's here.
Yeah.
Houston's in the World Series again.
Yeah. They have some contracts coming up though, so we'll see what's up.
It's true. The Angels, we'll see. I think if Ohtani and Trout stay healthy, you can never count them out.
Remember when John said that he thought that they were the second best team in the AL West beginning of the season?
Yeah, John.
That was funny.
Yeah, he does that sometimes. And then the Rangers are just a joke.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, yeah. I think that it just falls back and like, what do you want to do? Do you really want a stopgap manager? And if Ron Washington, if the Braves pull this off and they can win, knock on wood, then he's not going to have the only 2 opportunities you have if you want to be a manager this offseason are Oakland and Mets.
Yeah.
And let's be real, what would you rather be involved with? That's a really tough question.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say except for just keep saying yeah. This is true.
Okay, before we log off, who would be, give me your top 3 guys you would want?
I think Wash for nostalgia is probably my number 1. I think it'd just be cool. Even if it's just for 2 years while he face plants again, it'd be fun to see that. And it'd be interesting to see what his managerial style is now, because since 2014, I can't remember if he was an analytics guy or not. I don't know if he fully embraced it, but kind of has to now. So be curious to see how he manages the modern game with the launch angle and the spin rotations and shit like that with pitching. I think Chip Hale would be great because it would be just Bob Melvin 2.0. So it'd just be kind of like leaving where we left, where we left off. I don't know. I mean, it's a crapshoot after that. I'd be, Kate would be cool, but I don't want him to face plant in this situation. I think he deserves a better opportunity for his first opportunity than this. Yeah.
I like Chip Hill now that you're talking. You mentioned a little bit more.
And I think
I know
that
there's a
Bob or Billy. Sorry to interrupt you. I think that Billy likes Chip enough to where he wouldn't be a fall guy. He would let him build a team like Bob Melvin did with the team and raise it up. And then once it's talented, he knows that he can take the full reins and he'll give him that,
and well, one, we got to, if Chip Hill comes back, we got to bring back the Chip and Chili Bowls.
Oh yeah.
Bring back Chili Davis. It's going to be 2013 all over again. Chili Davis was.
I have that bowl, by the way.
Yeah, I think you showed me the picture of it.
Yeah, my parents had it from when they were moving out. So I'm gonna.
Hey, remember when they used to do
just
promotions?
got fired by the Mets? Chili Davis did.
No.
As a hitting coach?
I'd take him over Darren Bush, that's for sure.
I take anybody over Darren Bush. Literally anybody.
So my 3 would be Ron Washington. As long as he understands expectations, like you're probably going to be like a stopgap manager, which I want to be proved wrong, but it's like, look,
it's not going to be Chip Hale. He just took the job as University of Arizona's head baseball coach.
That's right.
U of A is like the USC of Pac-12 baseball. Like they're fucking always in the World Series, the college World
That's
Series.
Right. I think he's an Arizona guy too.
Yeah, he is. So
he went to Arizona.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not happening. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
I'll go Wash, but I think as long as he's kind of got the expectations of like, if this team gets blown up, this is probably not going to be a contender.
Yeah.
Your time, it's going to be scrappy. And I think if you're going to kind of really absorb this as like a Ted Lasso situation where you're like, yo, you're just helping these guys grow.
Mm-hmm.
And the winning is going to come, but there's a good chance you're not going to be here when it is. And if he's okay with that, then yeah, let's do it. But let's see. It depends on what he wants to do. I do think Matt Williams will get a call. I think there's I think it's kind of like a redemption story because he had some pretty good Nats teams back in the times when he was the manager. It just, they just kind of couldn't get over that hump and he got fired and the rest is kind of history with him. But
Bobby Crosby, I don't think
he falls in line.
But what do you think?
I'd like to see him on the bench this year for sure. I'd love to see him part of this coaching staff. I remember reading a piece a while back from Melissa Lockhart, and she was talking about how Bobby's done a really good job because I think he's single A coaching.
Yeah, he's
right
Stockton.
Now. Yeah. And a lot of those guys, there's like 3 or 4 shortstops all up there right now. And he's just been doing a really good job of just like making sure everybody's getting their playing time, rotating dudes out, kind of figuring things out. And I think he's going to be a manager at some point because people have been really high on him throughout the farm system. I think the same piece like Nick Allen was talking about, like, Bobby taught me so much during that time.
That's what makes me think that maybe he's in the running now because of all these prospects that are going to come up. Like, hey, let's get someone who they immediately already respect.
It's just like, but it kind of goes back to what you're saying earlier. Is like, I don't want to see a guy like that just get a job and then fall face first because he's not going to be ready yet. Yeah. If you can get him there and you can have major league coaching experience on that bench with him, then maybe. But it's like, who's going to want to take that job right now?
But that's another hire where I think it would be with the promise of which Billy and David have done in the past. To be fair to them, with the promise of you're going to get 3 years to develop this team. We'll see how you do once they're good, and we'll go from there. Like the promise that like this is your team, and we're invested in you for like the long haul. That's the only way I can see that. Yeah, I don't think he's ready yet though. I think if Kotze becomes a manager, then he'd probably get maybe a bench coach job or something like that.
I'd say Kotze would probably be my third my third option then out of those three. But I think either way, Bobby Crosby should be on this bench next year, especially as we're probably going to be seeing Nick Allen next year, regardless.
Yeah,
we're gonna be seeing a lot of these guys we've been talking about the last couple of years, and they're going to be up there. But that is going to be for another podcast, and I guess tune in next week. Not actually next week, but you know what I mean.
We're still working on the Ray Pod too, folks. So stay tuned for that as well.
If you want to hear some more of this Bo Mel discussion as well, we actually got invited to a Padres fan podcast that Chris and I are going to be joining on. It's going to be called The Kept Faith, as like the Friar Faithfuls, Padres kind of thing. But we're going to be on there. We're going to be talking about the Bo Mel situation, how he fits in with the team, and just kind of giving a little insight. So once that does drop, we'll go ahead and share it through our socials and our usual stuff. So all that fun stuff. But we're going to be recording a handful of times over these next few weeks, now that I think about it. Because we're going to have to do our World Series recap. We're going to have to do, wrap up the Foss pod, and then our awards. So we got some quality stuff. Baseball, and never sleeps, folks.
And if you're listening for the first time, because maybe you wanted to check us out because you're fans of the Kept Faith podcast. This is an Oakland A's podcast, but we always talk national baseball typically during the season, first 20 minutes of the season, but in the off season, it pretty much becomes an all national baseball talk podcast. So if you like that stuff, give us a follow. And if you don't, if this is the first time just hearing it and you're an A's fan, give us a follow anyway, because we're dope. Oh, Julio.
To quote Kanye West, because I'm dope and I do dope shit.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Yeah, we'll be back on after the World Series. We'll talk about that. So stay tuned for that. Last but not least, Julio.
Let's go, Oakland.
Not much.
Best of luck, Bo Mel. We'll miss you, Bo Mel.
Best of luck.